Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show, Crosstalk. Well, it is that time of the week, the moment that the world has been waiting for, where two of us weigh the thumbs ups and thumbs downs for the week. So the wait is over, and we're going to weigh in as appropriately. I'll go first. My thumbs up is rather surprisingly is Amazon. As one of those powerful companies, if not the most powerful company in the world. It has had a bit of a problem in Alabama, in one of its warehouses in Alabama, that the workers there want to unionize, as many workers do in many places. And Amazon appealed to the National Labor Relations Board and saying, well, if we really don't want a mail-in vote on unionization, because mail-in voting is notoriously unreliable. We think in-person voting is a much, much more reliable way of ascertaining workers' demands. The hypocrisy is just so blatant. I mean, one hardly needs to talk about it when we remember that its flagship publication, the Washington Post, has repeatedly talked of Trump's debunked claims that mail-in voting is unreliable, and that any suggestion that the 2020 election was not secure is absolutely outrageous and must not be entertained. So here, it's very, very nice that Jeff Bezos, when it comes to his pocketbook, appreciates that mail-in voting is indeed extremely unreliable.
Well, it's hard for me to add on to that, because I was just about to say, when it comes to his money, he wants to be as safe and sure as possible. But but when it comes to people expressing their will democratically through the ballot box in elections, he's not particularly interested in, because, well, I suppose, when it comes to money, you got to be really secure. But when it comes to democracy, you can be loose, and relaxed, and it's just breathtaking hypocrisy. But I'm not surprised by, particularly what's going on with this GameStop. I mean, I've thought so much about this in the last couple of days. I know you have too, and there's so many ways to understand it, and a lot is going to be played out still. So, I mean, obviously, no surprise here. The Reddit guys, my thumbs up here.
Good. Yep.
But I want to, I don't want to go too much in length, because I'm going to spend a lot of time on this on Crosstalk this week, starting Monday. But what I find really interesting about this is that this is not about politics. See, and this is what the political class wants us to do, is to be involved in political conversations where everyone gets all angry. If it's about statues and pronouns and reparations, racism, all of this. No, what this whole phenomenon is rage. People are angry, and politics is no longer a conduit for people to express their agency. This is what it's all about. It's not even really about money at all.
Right.
I mean, these guys that make money, good for them, okay? But it's not about money. It's about saying, I am here, and you must listen to me. This is what this is all about. This is a very significant event.
No, I quite agree with you, because what this event illustrated is that people have really no power, no agency whatsoever. They are the victims of powerful players who mess around with the system. And if you happen to lose out because your company has been driven into bankruptcy, because your value is the value of the stock is zero, tough luck. That's the capitalist system, and you have to just accept it. And so what has happened here is people have struck back, and they've used the very weapons that were used by all the George Soroses, which is the hedge fund billionaires who have been playing around, with manipulating stocks for no useful purpose, and they suddenly turned it around and used it against them. And of course, but the response of the powers that be is very different. And suddenly everyone is screaming, how dare this, people come enter this market and start manipulating it this way. So it was okay for the giant hedge funds to manipulate the market any way they wanted. That was fine. No one complained about that. But suddenly these upstarts, these people are sitting on these Reddit forums and say, let's band together and target these hedge funds. Now that has caught the attention of the powers that be. How dare you?
Well, the hypocrisy is really hard to hide here because, what these hedge funds do is they punch down. Just by definition,
Right.
They punch down all of the time. And it has no moral fiber to it whatsoever. It's to suck every single cent out of something. But when people use the same game to turn it around to salvage their self-respect, okay, I mean, it's a tool. I mean, I think this kind of speculation should be banned. But if you're going to allow it to exist, then let the merry band of investors, let them inflict their pain on you, if as ephemeral as it may be.
Right.
Okay. But if this is going to be the level playing field, okay,
Right.
well then all's fair. Okay, all's fair in shorting stocks. Okay, so they don't have a leg to stand on. They certainly don't have a moral argument. They don't even have a financial argument right now. Okay, because you suck the lifeblood out of companies left, right, and center.
Right.
And if you look at some of these bulletin boards of people that are involved in fighting back, it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
My father, he lost his business in 2008 and no one came to help him, but all the hedge fund buddies were taken care of. Then my father became an alcoholic. Then we lost the car and then we lost the house and then my brother lost his house.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the guy signs up, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it for my dad.
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that kind of follows on to my thumbs down for the week, is the biggest, most gigantic fraud of the recent years, Elizabeth Warren, who supposedly was the tribune of the people, the scourge of Wall Street, who built a political career as fighting on behalf of the little guy against Wall Street. And lo and behold, she weighs in on what happened this week by writing a long, tedious letter to the SEC, demanding a full investigation of what had actually happened, and that she found absolutely intolerable. Not what the hedge funds were doing, not the shorting that they were engaged in, but no, what Reddit was doing. And this was quite an extraordinary thing that what these guys at Reddit had figured out is, hey, we can hit them back at their own game, because what we can do, we can just keep driving up the value, and suddenly the hedge funds are losing money. They're stuck with stock that if they buy them back, they've lost a huge amount of money. This has caused outrage on her part. What, these giant hedge funds are being screwed over by some mom and pop investors on Reddit, and that's what's caused her. So we now know what an utter fraud Elizabeth Warren was. And let's not forget also what happened in the 2020 election. Remember, when everyone dropped out, all of the started, Biden's won, we're out, all of those Amy Klobuchars and the rest, just like that, from one day to the next, they all dropped out. She stayed in the race and thereby split the left kind of anti-capitalist vote. So again, just to make sure that there was really no left opposition to Biden. So she really is a thumbs down, one of the giant frauds of America in the recent years.
I wonder what her reaction would have been if it would have been Native Americans that had been shorting the stocks here.
Yeah,
Okay,
quite exactly. Yes.
I mean, would Pocahontas make a cameo appearance?
Right.
Okay, I
Right.
mean, she's been a fraud from day one. She
Right.
thought she would be able to get this little niche, and did it quite convincingly for some people for some amount of time. But I think you used the word tedious. Yes, she's a very tedious person. Okay, and she shows herself to be completely blank and vacuous and just, no different than the rest of them there. Okay, apparently she's quite wealthy too. So I mean,
Yes.
no violin playing for
No,
her.
no, no,
Okay,
no, no.
my thumbs down. My thumbs down is Sandy Cortez, also known as AOC with some people. When she expressed outrage about what was going on in Wall Street. I'm not really sure what she was outraged about, but she's good at being outraged. Okay, so we'll kind of keep it.
Absolutely.
We'll do the skinny bill, as they like to say here. And then Ted Cruz kind of chimed in, saying, I'm just as angry about this too. And then she turned it around and basically, I'm paraphrasing here for fact checking purposes here, is that people like Ted Cruz put her life on at stake during the Capitol riot on January 6th.
It was worse than that. She said, you almost had me murdered. She actually said, you almost had me murdered.
I just want to be careful with my words. Thank you, George. But this just shows the peak juvenile behavior on her part. Okay, I'm sorry you're traumatized, Sandy. Sorry. Okay, but tens of millions of people have been traumatized because since 2008 to the present. Their trauma never ends. And your fake biography doesn't impress anyone that wants to scratch a little deep into your biography. You're a fraud. Okay, you're simply a fraud. Absolutely. All right, and for all your progressive talk and Bernie bros and all this stuff that you're going to remake the human condition, when Nancy snaps her fingers, you get in line. Okay, so stop whining or just leave. Exactly. You might be able to do cooking recipes on Instagram. I don't know. Right. But stop whining. And one more thing, Sandy, it's not all about you.
No, I couldn't agree more. And again, hey, she's what is I don't know, she's 32, maybe younger than that. Nobody's forcing you to be in Congress. I mean, if you're now going around saying, my life is in danger, all these terrible congressmen are threatening me, hey, there's an easy option. There's plenty of other things you can do in this world. I mean, you don't have to share the chamber with these horrible people who are apparently threatening your life. No, she's a complete fraud. And every time there's been any, opportunity for her to weigh in as the progressive populist that she purported to be when she first was elected, she has always rushed away. Even when at the time when essentially Trump was attempting to overthrow the Maduro government in Venezuela, and some people, I think, Max Blumenthal, wanted get her to weigh in against Trump. She goes, I need to think about this issue. That because, hey, that would have annoyed Nancy Pelosi, so she didn't want to do any of that. No, I mean, this was an opportunity for a genuine kind of left-wing populist to emerge. Maybe, work together with, a right-wing populist, which I think Ted Cruz is now attempting to present himself as. This was an opportunity, and she just swatted it away, accusing him practically of murder, which itself, incidentally, is an utterly irresponsible and reckless charge, because if you're seriously claiming that he wanted to have you murdered, go to the police and file a police report. Don't just go around issuing these frivolous tweets.
Yeah, the interesting thing in a broader picture, in a really big thumbs down, is that people like Sandy Cortez, she should embrace someone across the aisle during these turbulent times here. I mean, you and I go on left-wing fora all the time. Okay, I'm not afraid. I believe in the veracity of my arguments, and I love a good debate. when there's a good faith actor. But she doesn't know how to debate, and she's not good faith. Okay, and she is representative of the political establishment. Okay, again, I feel like I'm a broken record. Looking at what's going on in the country, they still refuse to understand why Donald Trump was elected in 2016. See, they will not have a post-mortem. And because all avenues of political expression, because you're racist, okay? If you have an opinion contrary to the establishment, they demonize you. That's why these Reddit guys are, well, we can't express ourselves politically. We're going to hit you where it hurts, in your wallet, okay? Then you'll hear me, okay? But the establishment has learned nothing. As a matter of fact, they want to erase everything since 2016 to January 20th. If they had the power, they would erase the whole thing and everyone that was involved in it too, okay? But they will never succeed at doing that. And because of this lack of recognition of why Trump was elected in the first place, we're going to see it repeated over and over again. And I really worry, it will get more and more tense, okay? Because if you don't listen, it's going to get worse.
No, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, there was never a reckoning with what happened in 2008. We had this phony radical getting elected, who's basically going to help out Wall Street, namely Barack Obama. That led to the Occupy movement. But you know, it really just had no leadership, no real agenda, and was easily swept aside by the mayor of New York, which is Mike Bloomberg. And, that's it. Now, these people have figured out, okay, that's not really the way to hit the system. You hit the system in its pocketbook. That's when they notice you. They don't care. You sit there in Zuccotti Park, defecate, whatever. Eventually, the police are going to just sweep you aside. But when you hit people in their pocketbook and then you drive them out of business, now that's when they notice. That's when the SEC steps in. That's when the president starts weighing in.
This whole example shows the facade of our fake politics. Okay, all it gets down to is gossip and personal destruction. That's all. That is the alpha omega of our politics today. Oh, Jimmy Dore, he's rude. Jimmy Dore's rude. Ted Cruz is rude. Okay, I mean, who cares if they're rude? What are they saying? See, everything has been replaced by a virtue signal and how you feel your conscience to be and how you have to demonize, because the only way you can find virtue is demonizing someone else. They're inverse, okay? And that's all this noise. All we have is noise, noise, noise. And there are plenty of people that make careers out of it and blue checks and book deals and, cable TV, blah, 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 to go on and pour shit on someone. Right. That's the profession apparently these days. But no, as we're going to say the third time here, when you go into somebody's wallet and pull out a few bills, then they notice, okay?
That is definitely the case. I mean, it's the kind of thing that Lenin would have said, yeah, that's when they notice you.
It's interesting. Lenin, we were losing. Lenin was, one of his said, one of his political tactics is get control of the telegraph. Okay, and basically Lenin would say, well, they've replaced the telegraph with the stock market. Good going, guys.
Exactly. So my thumbs down is again a hardy perennial, which is the U.S. justice system. So
I know what you're going to say. Who got off, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, so you got Kevin Kleinsmith, who forged a FISA application. Very serious thing. FISA is a very serious business, enabling the government to spy on an American citizen, which it's not supposed to do. He forged the application in order to fool the court, and he's basically getting 12 months probation, no prison time. That's the justice system. In the meantime, the guy who was on Capitol Hill and who had the temerity to go into Nancy Pelosi's office, put his feet on her desk, and take as a souvenir an empty envelope. That guy, first after having been ranted against by a demented Obama-appointed judge, is in prison and denied bail. Quite wise denied bail. In what way this person can possibly be a threat to anyone or even a flight risk? I mean, I don't think he has the money to even purchase an airline ticket. Nonetheless, he's in prison because of the seriousness of the crime. Can you imagine you're putting your feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk? Whereas this person, Kleinsmith, who committed an extremely serious offense. I mean, something you and I, we'd be looking at 10, 15 years in prison for that. So that's the U.S. Justice system, and this is.
I'm sorry. Wasn't the judge in that case? That judge was also part of the reviewing the FISAs.
Exactly.
Not only is it a judge
right.
that is looking at this one case, but this judge is connected with the FISA court itself. So basically, this judge is agreeing to allowing the FISA court to be defrauded.
Yes. That's exactly right. That absolutely. And it's hard to express the full outrage of this. I mean, imagine you're forging a document to fool the court, fooling the judges, in order to spy on an American, because they just didn't have the evidence. They didn't have any kind of evidentiary basis for anything, and so he distorted the record. A very serious crime. 12 months probation. Well, goodbye.
I wonder if Carter Page is going to call him as a witness in upcoming trial, that if he doesn't settle here. Obviously, also I would very much like that we could give maybe a quick call to Mr. Stone and ask him how he feels about this, Roger Stone, about someone getting probation for defrauding the court, and Roger Stone, can Roger Stone lie? I mean, considering his profession, I suppose so. I mean, it was a white lie, a joke, an aside. I really, I'm not defending people that are dishonest, not at all, okay? But if you know the history of Roger Stone, you never really know what side of the line you're on. And that's even if you like him, okay?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm looking at the lack of equivalence here. I mean, here's a guy that went through hell, was bankrupted, and Kleinsmith here has got a slap on the wrist. Oh, he's a resistor, so he'll get a job.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he'll get a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this was, I mean, was this? Did he get probation on a felony or was it misdemeanor? I don't know.
That's a good question. Whether I think it was a felony, because I think there was a possibility of prison time.
Well, I mean, okay, well, somebody in the Biden will pardon him, okay, and he'll have it wiped off his slate.
That's a nice way in which the American justice system operates. And as I say, in the meantime, the guy who put his feet on the desk, he doesn't even get bail. I mean, because he's the worst kind of criminal.
But don't you see all of the parallels falling into place here? During the election, irrespective of what you want to say about the veracity of the election, there were too many ballots out there. Okay, there's a lot of ballots out there. Ask Jeff Bezos about ballots. Okay, exactly. And then you have this financial thing where you see that it's not so the election for 70 million plus people, the election was not an even playing field. Okay, then you have the Reddit guys. They're telling everyone it's not an even playing field. And now we go to Kleinsmith and say, you're right, it's not a fair playing field. Right. See, I mean, on every single layer, we can keep going. We can do the media, we can do the academia, we can do Hollywood. We see case after case of this here. This is why people are angry. I was telling a few friends of mine this morning, they're saying, oh, these guys are just doing it for money. And I said, no, they're enraged. That's why they're doing it. Some are making money, of course, but that's not the point here. The point is to make a point.
Right. No, that's exactly right. I mean, there's been this anger that's been bubbling for a long time. This is a point that was made by Robert Barnes in yesterday's gaggle, that the establishment, which was so eager to see Trump pushed off stage, don't realize what they've done, because Trump was at least able to contain it, because the anger, he was there, people thought, oh, well, he's there to express our anger. He's not there anymore. There isn't really any longer anything to contain people's outrage. And so they make a point at which they're going to wish Trump was back.
In an interesting way, Trump was a shock absorber.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking about that yesterday, is that, with Trump, it feels so different without him tweeting. It is a really different universe right now. Also, I want to dispel, until there is evidence made presented, is that Trump is not behind the Reddit guys. That's already floating around as some kind of conspiracy. And here they are. They're coming up with another one. So Putin told Trump to tell the Reddit guys. Get ready for it.
Yeah, I already saw this somewhere today, that but I think it was one of the late night comedians who actually do serious monologues, suggesting that the Russians were behind the Reddit thing. So Putin started thinking, what dastardly deed should I do today? I know, I'm going to attack the hedge funds. Bloody good idea. That's the sort of the paranoia level continues.
Let's see what's really in play here, and we've seen it for so many years now, is that all of these wounds are self-inflicted wounds, okay? And if you are satisfied with the status quo, you're going to bring up every excuse possible to maintain that status quo and not change the rules of the game. That's why, on these chat rooms and bulletin boards and stuff like that, they start taking them down one by one. Oh, there was a racist remark, you must end it. Okay, that's their favorite thing right now. Okay, so if you disagree with me, you're a racist, even though we're talking about derivatives and short selling. Okay, it somehow race is a determining factor. People are tired of this. They are so tired of it.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And speaking of Russians, there's apparently a new book out by a guy called Craig Unger. It's called American Compromat. And the thesis, of course, is that the KGB ran Trump, since the I think probably he goes back to the 1970s. His chief source is somebody called Yuri Shvets. I've never heard of him. Apparently, he used to work at the KGB, I don't know how many decades ago. And of course, he of course knew, because he was always at the appropriate meetings taking place at the KGB HQ, saw the paperwork. Yeah, Trump is our guy. Great, and of course, he was given a fawning coverage. This is Yuri Shvets in The Guardian, in which, again, pontificating away.
Luke Harding probably wrote it. Did Luke Harding write it?
Actually, I don't think it was Luke Harding. It was another one of their Guardian people. And, again, uncritically reporting this nonsense. And, you think, these KGB guys, I mean, they're all hustling. I mean, they're all trying to get work.
Of course they are.
Hey, I'm a security expert. I know all about what the Russians are doing. Can you give me some money, please? But the Guardian just sort of uncritically regurgitates these ludicrous accusations. Yeah, I was in this meeting and my boss said, Trump is our guy.
And of course, I'm sorry, because it is such high level intelligence here. I don't have any paperwork, okay? Because it wasn't allowed. I got to see it, but I couldn't keep a copy of it, protocols and all that. But see, can't you see how this can actually be flipped on its head? Is that, okay, this guy is doing it because he sees that you can make money off of making Americans crazy and paranoid about Russia. Why not throw your, I was going to say throw your hat in. Why don't you throw it in your wallet? Okay, pull it up for you. I mean, the naivete of these people is extraordinary. And what they, and I can tell you, I mean, I've asked some Russians about Russiagate. Most of them just are totally befuddled by it. But the ones that have followed a little bit just find it really amusing how easy it is to get under the skin of these people in the media, and they all know it has nothing to do with Russia. It's like a virus. You just keep injecting it into people, and they go crazy.
Right. And now, of course, it's serving another purpose, which is the Biden administration is not doing well. It isn't popular. Just even on a superficial level, our friend Jen Psaki is doing an absolutely terrible job. So you have to, there's a bad need for Russia stories. Putin is going to make a comeback. You got to distract people. Yeah. Otherwise, people are going to start paying attention to what Biden is doing. We don't want we don't want them paying attention to Biden. Focus on Trump and Putin.
I guess the fact that there is a female Treasury secretary just wasn't exciting enough.
No.
Man, we thought we could get more mileage out of that one. Yeah,
right.
You saw that. You saw that. Okay, is Secretary Yellen following the events on Wall Street? Well, we have the first female Treasury. That was her first answer.
When they mentioned the fact that she was getting this $800,000 from Citadel. They say, well, of course, it's not surprising that a woman of her intellectual distinction would be paid for her speeches. Yeah, right.
Okay, but that goes back to one of my favorite theses of all time that I keep going back to. Blinken, Yellen, these people, all the professional managerial class. Of course they deserve that money. Of course because they went to this school and they went to that school, okay? And they have a house in the Hamptons. Of course they deserve it. See, it's a very familiar pattern, isn't it, okay? It's because they have been credentialed by their elite. It has nothing to do with their IQ or their ability to solve problems. No, it is that you've been accredited. It's like, you've been knighted, and you're a duchess or a duke, and you're part of the court, okay? You can be a complete incompetent hunter, okay? You can be completely incompetent, but you're part of the court now, okay? Now, these answers just play into that all of the time. Of course she's well qualified.
Really? And then when people say, well, hey, isn't there a conflict of interest here? Well, no, of course there's not a conflict of interest. I mean, they were paying her because they wanted her expertise. You mean they wanted her to give a 45-minute talk filled with cliches and banalities, and they paid $800,000 for that? No, that's not what rich people do.
No, George.
Rich people don't get rich by just shelling out money for no reason.
Yeah. I just say to Jen Psaki that if you believe what you're saying, I have a few more condos on Mars. I still have a few of them if you're interested in buying, okay?
Yeah.
No, the professional managerial class is acquitting itself again and again in the most catastrophic ways. And it's obvious for everyone to see. And again, they just say, but look where I have been, who I know. Okay. No, I actually am interested in what you have to say and how you'll solve problems because you've been given power. Now, if you're being given power, I want you to be held accountable. No, because I am professional managerial, I don't have to be held to any kind of account because of where I went to school and who I know. You see how circular it is?
Right. Well, but look, their job is to make sure that the system is well oiled. And what happened with the Trump insurrection, and I mean insurrection from 2015, 2016, is that the system started getting very, very nervous. He was asking all sorts of questions that you weren't supposed to ask. Like what? Why are we actually NATO? What's NATO doing? I mean, what do we need it for? Those were dangerous questions. And
the Kurds. What about the Kurds? Why are the Kurds so important?
So let's go back to the good old days, with Biden and Yellen and others. No questions at all asked. They have the expertise. The country's in the very best of hands. We're all going to be doing very well, and stop asking nasty questions. That was
that's right. When the economy crashed in 2008, Obama made sure that the bankers fixed it. Right? They fixed it. Exactly, and everybody sees that. Okay, and nothing has been fixed, and everything continues to deteriorate, and it's becoming more and more obvious. So I commend the Reddit revolution. Okay, they will be snuffed out. It's inevitable. The powers that be will regroup, and they will use the power of the state. And somebody is going to probably get in a whole lot of trouble. Just they'll find someone to take the fall because that person is a misogynist, racist, or something.
Right.
And
No,
they cost the economy billions and billions and billions of dollars. Okay,
right.
some totally stupid thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree that they're going to come after Reddit because you are not supposed to do this. I mean, you got to know your place in the great scheme of things. So yeah, absolutely, they're gonna come after much the way that they came after Parler and anyone attempt who tried to break the monopoly of big tech. I mean, it's the SEC isn't just going to let this go and. Hence what we were talking about earlier, Elizabeth Warren steps in, yeah, you got to do something about it. And then now going to be, Yellen has got to do something about it. So this is, that we got to crush this thing.
Yeah, well, it's like going to arsonists to fix a problem, okay? Because these are the people that started the fire in the first place. Arsonists don't solve those kind of problems. It's as simple as that.
So any more thumbs ups and thumbs downs?
I think we've covered a lot.
Okay, I think we have as well. All right, well, that's the thumbs ups and thumbs downs for the week. We will, of course, be back same time next Saturday, and when the world will know what our final decisions are. So remember, if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.